We are live. It's another Monday and it's another NAMI Tennessee at home. And we have another great guest to hang out with us and spend some time. But first, if you want to never, ever, ever miss any of the cool things that NAMI Tennessee is doing, you, of course, have to sign up for the email list. It is so super easy. It's 100% free. It's awesome. It comes out once a week, tells you everything that you need to know, including about cool stuff like this Facebook Live. So just hop on over to namitn.org, sign right up, give us your email address, and we'll send you cool stuff and remind you of cool things. All right, enough about that. I'm sure that you all know how to go to namitn.org and sign up for the email list. Without further ado, let's meet our super awesome guest. She works for NAMI Tennessee, so she's like your aces, right, Rachel?
I'm like pocket aces.
Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do for NAMI Tennessee, and hey, since we're like co-hosts for the next hour, tell people what we're going to be talking about.
All right. I think I can. Everyone, my name is Rachel Wilson. I am the youth and young adult core NAMI State, NAMI Tennessee. And with that, I run one of our presentation programs for young adults called Ending the Silence. So we're going to talk about a little of that today and about teen mental health.
I am super excited you're here. Now, Ending the Silence. What is Ending the Silence?
So Ending the Silence, Gabe, is a 50-minute live interactive presentation that a couple people give, or a couple presenters give, to high school students. And really what we're trying to do with that presentation is raise awareness of mental health and kind of just help students learn how they can work through the symptoms if they notice they're having symptoms of mental health conditions, or help families.
So in a way, it's like a, I think where I'm getting confused, is it like a presentation piece? Is it like a discussion piece? Is it peer support? Is it all three?
Kind of all three, actually. So we typically, what we do is go into a high school and present for maybe 100 high school students. And at this time, with COVID and everything, we've shifted to a virtual platform. So Ending the Silence consists of a lead presenter and a young adult presenter that share some statistics about mental health and how to raise awareness, how to work through it. Our young adult presenters discuss their own struggles with mental health conditions, and with that, it's very relatable to the high school students. I am so sorry. Siri just connected to my laptop and started talking to me again. I hope you heard that.
We did, and I think Siri is very interested in how high school students can help educate the people around them. I've been very fond of saying that in many ways, I think we're going to be okay. You know, my grandfather is 90 years old, and then we go all the way to like my nieces and nephews who are, I mean, as young as 6, but 15 years old. And I look at like my 15-year-old niece, and she's like really, really willing to discuss mental health and mental illness issues extraordinarily openly. But my 90-year-old grandfather, he sort of has to be pushed and prodded. So the good news is even generationally, even between the generations. Yes, thank you, Rachel. I can see how this is improving. But of course, one of the things that's super important is that, let's be honest, when a 15-year-old and a 90-year-old sit down to discuss almost anything, there's going to be differences in viewpoints. So does Ending the Silence help the young adults bridge that gap and And I already know the answer is yes. I think everybody knows the answer is yes. But how does it do it? Because I think everybody is imagining like the holidays when the teenager is trying to explain what Siri is or what an iPad is and getting nowhere with grandma. But you guys get somewhere, and I think that's incredible.
It's like politics. You just don't bring it up. That's that's kind of what I've grown up being taught, and sitting at the table with grandma and grandpa. And so yes, ending the silence does bridge that gap. How it does that is actually by providing presentations not only to high school students, but also families, caregivers of students that are struggling with a mental health condition, and also school staff and anyone working with the youth population. So right now we're really working hard to end the silence, or kind of decrease the stigma surrounding mental health in the youth population. So we're looking at presenting to a lot of middle schoolers, high schoolers, and family and staff that are involved with youth of that age. So I think from the presentation, families and staff can learn how to bring up the topic to the youth themselves. And if the youth does bring the topic up to them about mental health, they know how to talk about it with them in an appropriate manner and not just kind of shut them down. So as long as people are willing to engage and learn about mental health, this program is a great fit and can help bridge that gap.
So let's talk about some specifics. I'm very stats oriented, and I know that you have a lot of great stats. And some of these questions that I have they're sort of funny, right? Like my very first question is, why is teen mental health important? And I chuckle a little because are we still debating this in 2021? But interestingly enough, we are still debating, why is teen mental health important? Rachel?
So yeah, funny enough, we still are. It may not seem like it, and sometimes I don't see it because I am out of that age group. But what studies are showing is that teens are still, and they're going through mental health conditions, having these symptoms and not sharing it with other people, and therefore not getting the help that they need. Or they maybe have someone at home that is just, maybe they're struggling and they don't know how to get support for them. So back to your original question, why is teen mental health important? I want to say that I think a big indication that teen mental health is important is the $250 million that Governor Lee has set aside for K through 12 mental health moving forward. So like I said, I think that's a pretty good indication that we're in need of our youth for some mental health awareness, mental health awareness among our youth.
So when it comes to stats, I know there's just a ton of them. And one of the alarming ones is that death by suicide is the second leading cause of death among our young people. Now that in and of itself is alarming. Is your program, NAMI Tennessee's program, the program that you lead, is it designed to help with that? Is it preventative? And most specifically, how?
Yeah, so Ending the Silence is a great resource for just anyone struggling with any type of suicidal thoughts. Basically, the most important part of Ending the Silence is letting students and youth know that they're not alone. So it being the second leading cause of death among the youth population is just, it's terrible. And with this program, we have actually had some research done with this program showing that after students receive this program, they feel more likely to talk about mental health with someone they trust or an authority figure. They feel more comfortable just with sharing the warnings or looking for the warning signs of friends or family members that are suffering from mental health conditions. So one of the warning signs of dying by suicide, I think last year, the year before maybe, among the youth was giving away your driver's license. So with that being said, that's one thing that we teach students to look out for. So by that, hoping to decrease the suicide rate and letting people know that there are people out there that care for them and there are people that can help.
Now, when you say knowing the signs, I know one of the signs that you mentioned was giving away a driver's license. I imagine that there's many, many more than just that one. Is this, I was going to say, do you teach them all? But there obviously nobody can know all of them. Is it divided up into classes like warning signs? And aside from the giving away the driver's license or even giving away prized possessions, what are some warning signs that we can be on the lookout for in our young people?
Yeah, so just a couple warning signs right off the bat that we've actually even noticed throughout the pandemic increasing among the youth population is negative sleep patterns. That's a big one. So not sleeping well, not sleeping at all, sleeping too much. Those are indicators of depression or anxiety or both. So not always, but it can be an indicator. So yeah, with that, not sleeping, not eating, and kind of just being very aggressive or withdrawn from friends, from enjoyable activities, feelings of apathy. So not enjoying the things that you normally enjoy, or you think that your child or friend used to like, but now they're just not interested at all. So things like that are things to look out for too.
Thank you so much. So now let's talk about Ending the Silence as a NAMI Tennessee program. It's not just a program, a signature program. So I've left this up on the screen for a while. You can obviously get all of this information at namitn.org/ending-the-silence. Obviously, very, very important. You can get a lot more information. And I'm sure that in that link is how you can find out how to get involved yourself, correct?
Yes, in that link, you can find everything you need to know about Ending the Silence.
Awesome. So now let's like switch gears ever so slightly and talk about why somebody should get involved. Give me your best sales pitch, Rachel.
Well, as the program coordinator, I think I should have that one down pat. So like I was saying earlier, Ending the Silence is so important because we need to get this information out there for students to know before they start experiencing these symptoms. So, for example, I'll share a little bit of my own personal story as I would in a presentation. I'm from a small, tiny little town called Beaver Dam, Kentucky. It's a one-stoplight kind of town. And when I was in school, we didn't learn much about mental health at all. So I took a psychology class and I loved it and decided I want to be a psychologist. So this class was like all about serial killers. So I was like, oh, this is so cool, so exciting. I'm going to be a psychologist and learn about serial killers. So I go to college and I'm probably about three to 4 years in, and I start noticing that, hey, me not wanting to hang out with my friends and sleeping in bed and staying in bed all the time is not a good sign. So even though I was getting a degree in psychology, I was not aware of what I myself was experiencing and that I needed to see a therapist or reach out for more help. So that is what I'm trying to, or what I think NAMI is trying to combat, is youth populations getting older and going to college and not knowing what to do with these feelings or noticing them and just saying, oh, it's just me. I need to figure it out myself. No one wants to help me with this. So with this presentation, we can get in front of high school students and in front of family members and staff and just say, hey, you are not alone. A lot of other people struggle with these types of things, and there is help out there. And we want you to know the symptoms and be aware of, yeah.
Who is ending the silence for? In my mind, when you first started talking about it, I was like, okay, it's only for young people. You've got to be between like the ages of, I don't know, like 16 and 20. Is that correct? Is it what is the desired age range that ending the silence is looking for?
So ending the silence is actually for everyone. However, the population that we target and want this information put out there for is the youth population. So ages, I'd say like 13 to, I'm so sorry, Siri just interrupted me again.
Siri absolutely loves you.
Oh, stop
Siri
it, Gabe. You're going to,
so much.
she's going to come back on. Don't say her name. So yeah, this presentation is for anyone and everyone that has interaction with youth or is a youth. So 13 to 18 is where the population that we really do try to get in front of and give this information to. So the presentation is loaded with facts and statistics, and then about personal mental health struggles of someone that is a young adult. So our young adult presenter would be aged 18 to 35. So the thing about that is it's more relatable for these high schoolers. So right now I'm training some presenters who are around the ages of 20, 21. So I think they'll be able to really relate a little bit more to these high schoolers since they're a little bit closer in age.
One of the things that you keep saying is training the presenters. Now, as somebody who's done a lot of public speaking, hosting, presenting, I really, really like this idea because I think about all of the people that have wonderful stories and great messages, but they don't know how to hold a microphone, and so nobody can hear them because they're holding the microphone too far away, or they're missing key elements of the story, or they don't know how to write it. Now, I'm making huge assumptions that these are some of the things that you cover in the presentation and speaker training. I need the training. I can't speak. Can you tell us what people learn? Because I think that some people might hear this and think, well, it's my story. Why do I need training?
Yeah, absolutely. So to start off with, we have and you've heard me mention, an adult presenter and a young adult presenter. So the adult presenter or lead presenter is trained by an online program where they kind of go through a PowerPoint presentation. They get comfortable with it, and here and there they throw in some pieces about their own personal struggles with mental health. So after that, it's like a 2.5 hour training. After that, they schedule a live presentation training or review with me, and we're doing Zoom right now. Thanks, COVID. So we'll do a live video chat where we both kind of discuss what they're doing well or how they're doing well and how to better their presentation skills. So like you said, yes, it would include, okay, maybe you should stand a little closer to the camera. Can you talk a little bit louder? Let's take out the last 2 sentences because that's a little too much information. So, and it's the same thing with the young adult presenter as well. So we have that one-on-one after their training is over, and their training consists of a bunch of prompts that ask them how to, like, it gets them to start their introduction for the presentation and how to write out their introduction. And then it gets into the body of their presentation. And I haven't had any fighting, or what's the word? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but
pushback.
Yeah, pushback from any of the presenters that I've been working with on why do I need to be trained? It's my stuff. So I think most of the people I've been working with and training, they have been very open to that and like, oh, thank goodness, because I haven't put my story in presentation format before. So it's, yeah.
So I'm of course very fascinated with getting out there and telling your story, because I know how hard it can be. And I know how hard it can be for people that have never done it before, young adults. And I got this picture in my head of like an 18-year-old standing in a room. I don't know COVID things, but an 18-year-old standing in a room with 100 strangers, especially people who may be older than them, different socioeconomic status, different gender, different race, different everything. You're just staring at blank faces and you know nothing about them. That's extraordinarily difficult. Can you tell us sort of the transition that they go from day one, which is I want to tell my story. Step 2 is signing up for Ending the Silence. Step 3 is taking the class and the learning. And now here we are on step 4. They're standing on the stage at the podium. And I know you have lots and lots of stories, but how is this? What's the transformation like?
So just speaking for myself, actually, my transformation was, okay, I gave a ton of presentations in college. I got this. And then I presented to a couple of my coworkers and I was like, yeah, okay, glad I'm training on this one myself. I needed some practice. So now when I give my presentation and talk about my personal story, it's just, I'm much more relaxed and comfortable sharing it. And I find that with other trainees as well. So it goes from really nervous and kind of, they got the heebie-jeebies to, man, I'm comfortable with this. I feel good. I feel strong. I feel powerful. Well, not powerful. Powerful to themselves.
It's empowering, right? I mean, I think that's empowering, a good word, especially yes. Especially in mental illness. I mean, speaking as somebody who also lives with mental illness, I think of all the times that I felt powerless. So being able to own my story and tell it to people, I mean, I guess empowering is probably a better word, but I don't know. I'll take powerful, Rachel. I think that's fair. Does NAMI Tennessee or NAMI, probably the affiliates as well, does it, I'm going to say, does it help them get gigs? And I know it's a weird time with COVID and everything, but when it's working like it's supposed to and the world opens back up, does Ending the Silence help put audiences together, groups together, trainings together, and things like that to help end the silence?
So I'm actually really glad you asked that question, because right now we are looking at ways or any type of connections that we can get in the community to get a presentation out there. So youth groups, if anyone has any information or if they want to schedule a presentation for their church youth group, please get in contact with me. My email is rwilson@namitn.org. I think you can probably type that in there if you want. I don't know how to.
Give it to me one more time. rwilson@namitn.org.
Yes, and that's for anyone who has a group that they want to have an Ending the Silence presentation for. So that can be a group of pediatricians or a group at Mental Health Co-op, Planned Parenthood, a church youth group, a Boy Scouts. So anyone and everyone, if you think this presentation might be beneficial, that is how we get out there and get this in the community is just by kind of communicating that, saying that, we have this presentation, sharing the information, and if you or someone has a group that they feel like might benefit from this, get in contact with me. And then it's a lot of by mouth, word of mouth.
Word of mouth. You mean that
Yeah.
a grassroots nonprofit doesn't have like a vast advertising budget? We're not going to see you on the Super Bowl?
Not the Super Bowl, but I tell you what, next year, maybe. Let me talk to Jeff. But
this is fantastic. Now, go ahead. I was just going to ask, in the virtual world, is this limited to just Tennessee? Because I know we have fans from all over the country. NAMI Tennessee is in Tennessee. So if somebody wanted to schedule an Ending the Silence in Ohio or Utah, would they have to contact their own NAMIs, I'm assuming?
So if they wanted to contact me, if they really didn't know where else to go, feel free to do that, and I will put them in contact with the right person. But the right person would be the Ending the Silence coordinator for their respective state. So they would need to get in contact with them, or if they don't know how to, feel free to shoot me an email as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Now they've got it. Let's sort of follow along a little bit. So I call up and I say, hello, I've got a group and I want an Ending the Silence presentation. And I'm talking to you, Rachel, and I say, okay, I want to do it. What are the steps? Like, how do I put this together? What do I need to do? Because I'm often surprised at the number of people that want to do something, but because they don't understand it, they're unwilling to ask. So let's just walk them through it and take away all of the fear and darkness and shadows. Rachel, explain it to them. What happens when they call you to schedule an Ending the Silence presentation?
So really, that is pretty much it. You call me or email me and say, hey, I have this group. I want to schedule a presentation. Let's work out a day and a time. The time that I'm thinking is May 7th at 2 p.m. Does that work for you? So I have that information from them. I take that information and ask my presenters if any of them are available on that day and time to do a virtual presentation. And then I get back with said caller and say, hey, we're good to go, or no, we're not good to go. We need to think of another day and time to schedule a presentation. And if that's all they're wanting to do, that's all there is to it, is just reaching out to me and saying, a time, let's do it. And I'm like, okay, we'll make it work.
Is there any cost to do this? If any organization, like the church group, the doctor's office, all the organizations you mentioned, if any of them call and they want to put this together, is there any cost to do this?
Gabe, that is one of the best parts about this program, Ending the Silence, and really everything and anything NAMI does. It is totally free. So for any school, any group, completely free, and just takes an hour. So it's a 50-minute long presentation, but there's no cost for it at all. Totally free.
Awesome. It's free. It's absolutely free. Now, when you say it's a 50-minute presentation, is that one person for 50 minutes? Is it 10 people for 5 minutes? How does it look? And I know it's a little bit, again, I'm reminding everybody that it's in COVID times, because as you move forward, it's going to change a little bit, right? I imagine that you have some COVID restrictions in place right now. So I know we're sort of on that, like, hope springs eternal, and we're on the other side of it. I do believe the world is going to be back to normal here in a few months. But for the next several months, it's only virtual, correct?
So it's kind of up in the air. We are looking at doing a little bit of both. It depends on the group that we're looking at. I personally am sticking to virtual presentations right now. So if I have presenters comfortable with going to a high school and presenting, then, or just for any group, then they can do that and follow their guidelines and rules. So yeah, it's kind of both.
Little bit of both. Well, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is definitely awesome, and it shows how far we've come. So let's talk about the 50 minutes. What can people expect in that 50 minutes? I started to ask before Flight of Fancy took over, but is it 10 5-minute speeches? Is it 5 10-minute speeches? I'm illustrating to the audience that I can do math.
Well, just to validate and affirm you, Gabe, I have ADHD, so the rate of thoughts is always going 1,000 different ways in my head as well. So I totally understand. So did you have a response to that?
No, I was thanking you for making. So often the people I interview are like, "What's wrong with this guy?" There's like 9 questions there, sir.
Well, you got to keep people entertained too. So you got to keep things moving. Yeah.
Yes.
So what was that question you asked again? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was going to say, I forgot it like an hour ago.
So the 50-minute presentation is, so 2 presenters take up about 40 minutes of that presentation, just talking and sharing their stories, sharing facts and statistics. And then the last 10 minutes we use for audience members to ask us questions. So they could ask us questions such as the one you asked me earlier: what are more warning signs of suicide or depression or anxiety? How do I know? Just questions going off the PowerPoint that we share as well. So if they have a question about anxiety, we can answer that. So yeah, the last 10 minutes of it are really open to our audience and very interactive. So we can go back and forth and ask a bunch, or they can ask us a bunch of questions.
Now you mentioned a PowerPoint. What is on the PowerPoint that the audience will learn during the presentation? Because it's not all personal story, if I understand it correctly. It's also facts and actionable items and takeaways, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I am regretting not leaving the PowerPoint presentation up on my monitor right now. I knew you were going to ask that. So on that PowerPoint, like I said, a lot of facts and statistics, along with just ways that you can help friends, family members, who to reach out to for support. For example, a phone number that I did want to give while I was talking with you today is for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. So that is something we share as well in that PowerPoint presentation. And that number is 800-273-8255. And that's, again, 800-273-8255. And the 82 and 55 spell out talk. So if that's of any interest to anyone, I still remember the old, like when you would type in, when you were texting and you'd have to type in three times to get a C, or yeah. So I spelled that out in my head when I read it.
That's awesome. And also, do you share the crisis, the crisis text line, the home to 741-741? I always like to share them together.
Yeah, we do. So thank you for that. Yeah, we share them both.
I can't take all the credit. You prepped me ahead of time, so I just assumed it was coming. I already typed it in ahead of time, so thank you, Rachel, for being excellent guest. I want to open it up to questions to the audience. So please, if you have any questions, type them in your comments right now, and Rachel will answer. And they can be anything that you want. Youth mental health. Please don't hold back. If the question is not suited, I will moderate it out. So don't worry about being embarrassed. This is your absolute opportunity to ask Rachel anything that you want. And as you've seen in the last half an hour, she's super cool. And she knows a lot of stuff about ending the silence and about how to have conversations. So please don't be shy. Rachel, my next question is, okay, so we have ending the silence and you're in charge of it. What's the goal? I know that the goal is to end the silence. But what's like the wider, what's the measurable goal? What do you want to see happen with this program if Rachel achieves ending the silence world domination?
So I have a question for you before I fully answer that.
Fair enough.
What would you say is the biggest reason that people do not seek help for their mental health conditions?
They're afraid of being judged. They're afraid that people are going to look at them differently. They're afraid of losing standing or love or it's those are all just fancy and longer ways of saying that the stigma of mental illness is so pervasive that people would rather suffer in silence. Oh, hey, I see the name now. But people would rather suffer in silence than risk the blowback from admitting a mental illness.
So that is exactly it and more. The answer I have is stigma. So thank you for elaborating on that for me.
All my words are long. I can't speak short. It's not in my nature.
It's fine. I'm from the South. I tend to talk a lot, so I understand that as well. So yeah, the goal with ending the silence is to kind of eradicate the stigma surrounding mental health so that people can reach out for help when they need it, when they want it, and for them to know they're not alone. So my goal as the Ending the Silence coordinator is to just continue working toward eradicating the stigma surrounding mental health. And I think you spoke with Anna, our other event, NAMI walks. So that
yes.
Yeah. So these are two big programs that are using, geez, I cannot words, that combat the stigma clearly. So with NAMI walks, it's a program that we have to stigma as well and increase health awareness and make people feel okay to talk about it. So ending the silence is the same exact, well, the purpose is pretty much the same, except we're targeting youth and wanting to kind of catch them before, like I said earlier, they go off to college and start realizing like, hey, why am I drinking so much, or why am I sleeping every night, and only realizing that when they're in their junior year of college. So we want to, well, like I said, my goal is to just make students aware of that and know what may happen, and if they are experiencing mental health conditions, they're known, and it is okay. It is totally okay. All of us have experience with it, and they're out there.
That's awesome. Rachel, we do have a question from the audience, and the question is, if I don't want to present, are there ways that I can be involved and or help?
Ooh, good question. So, well, for ending the silence specifically, I am not entirely certain yet. So I would encourage whoever asked that question, I can't see that, sorry. I would encourage whoever asked that just to shoot me an email and let me know they want to be involved. So rwilson@namitn.org. If you want to be involved in ending the silence but do not know or don't feel comfortable being a presenter, please just shoot me an email. If you want to be involved in NAMI as a whole, or other volunteer work, you can still shoot me an email and I'll get you in contact with the right person.
And obviously, Ending the Silence is one program for NAMI Tennessee. So if there's nothing available in Ending the Silence aside from a presenter, there's lots and lots of stuff that you can do for NAMI Tennessee, including our upcoming walk. So we will absolutely find a place for you, right, Rachel?
Yes.
And one of the things that popped up is volunteers can help with outreach to schools. I think that is an excellent idea. I think the bottom line, Rachel, is that we'll find a way to put you to work.
Yes, absolutely. Since we are one of the nation's largest grassroots mental health organizations, there is always something that we can or that we need help with, or a little thing on the side that maybe I don't have the time in the week for, that I could use someone's help on. So as that comment you showed, the volunteers can help with outreach to schools. So the volunteers can actually start calling schools and scheduling these presentations. I'm thinking that's probably Jeff that made that comment from NAMI. So
our intrepid executive director.
Yes. So volunteers can help with that, or if they know of any groups that would like the Ending the Silence presentation, we can definitely put you to work in that area and have you call people. I myself have had the experience of cold calling some high schools and sounding like a telemarketer. So if we would much rather have connections. So if you got them, bring them.
That's awesome. Another question that popped up in the comment section, do you hold the presentations for the workplace? Will you come to somebody's job and do the presentation, again, if invited?
Absolutely. Of course. Yes. So again, virtually is what we're looking at right now. But if April, if you prefer in person, we can do that too, as long as we have presenters that feel comfortable with that. But right now, yes, absolutely, we can 100% do a virtual Ending the Silence presentation for any workplace.
That's awesome. And it's probably important to point out, I know you said it's 50 minutes long, but it's a structured 50-minute presentation. So when it comes to things like, high schools and workplaces and groups, an hour is a reasonable amount of time to do like a lunch and learn, to, in the middle of a class period, in the middle of the day. It's really designed to fit into your work day, your school day, a conference or an event. It's very, very streamlined. I think that's important to point out, that you don't have to give up a half day here, just a lunch and learn. Get your employer to order some pizzas, have them come into the break room, all sit around a giant monitor. Most workplaces have Zoom monitors these days, or sit at home and you can attend this presentation. That's another question that I want to ask to make sure that I'm not overstepping, Rachel. A lot of workplaces are virtual, so you can host this and have people log into Zoom from all over, from their virtual workplaces. You don't need everybody to be together. You just need the group to know which Zoom link to click at what time. Does that make sense? Am I speaking correctly?
Yes, no, that is totally correct. We just have a Zoom link and we can send it out to the person in charge, or the facilitator that is in charge of the presentation for that day and got connected with me, and they can send that out to everyone. So yeah, we can definitely do that. You can sit on your couch at home, eat your lunch while you're listening to me. I won't make you have a video on, so you can, you can listen and not feel like everyone's watching you while you eat your Chipotle. So, oh, that was a Freudian slip. Yeah, I'm craving Chipotle right now.
Now I am too.
Yeah, everyone can sit at their own home and have this presentation given to them with they just click on a Zoom link and yeah, there they go. So another point that I wanted to mention that you reminded me of is that if it's necessary, we can shorten the presentation. We do not prefer to, we really don't like to, but I've had class schedules where a teacher only has a class for like 30 minutes. And in that case, we would rather get some information than none out there. So if that is the case and that is something that is needed, we can do that too.
Rachel, I think the bottom line is that if anybody is interested in this at all, has additional questions, wants to know anything, you are their guide for Ending the Silence. You will work with them to make it work with the full backing and long history of success that NAMI Tennessee brings to the table. So if anybody is sitting there watching this and like, well, I just don't know, just shoot Rachel an email and then you will know. I'm putting an awful lot of pressure on you, Rachel. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's my job, of course. And as we were talking about before we hopped on here, I'm super extroverted. I love talking to people. So please send me an email. If you don't know what types of questions to ask, just give me a call and say, hey, I'm interested in ending the silence. I don't know what to do. Can you help? And we will move forward that way. So there is no judgment or anything. If you are concerned about how to schedule a presentation or how to be a presenter, or if you just want to get some information to give to someone else, I have brochures that I can give out or scan. So yes, absolutely. Please email me if you have any questions at all.
Rachel, thank you so much. We're nearing the end of our time here. So if there's any questions, this is the last minute, everybody. So pop them into the chat before we drop on out of here. But Rachel, do you have any last words? Is there anything that we missed about ending the silence, about youth mental health, about what you want people to take away, about what you want people to know? This is really your time, so you can answer any question you want. Why do you prefer Chipotle over hothead burritos? The time is yours.
You know, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what hothead burritos is.
Oh my! Well, Chipotle is way better, but hothead burrito has sort of established itself as a competitor. And I can already hear Jeff in the back of my head saying, "What does this have to do with NAMI or End of the Silence?" So that was a red herring question, and you fell for it. You failed our test. Jeff is no, I'm just teasing. But Rachel, what are the big takeaways that you want people to know about youth mental health and about ending the silence? And remember, get your questions in because this is the last minute.
So I am totally about the random questions, by the way. It keeps people interested, so I'm totally fine with it. And I feel like you care about why I like Chipotle so much, so thank you. Moving forward, though, one thing that ending the silence does, and one thing that I think is very important to the program, is that it conveys that treatment can work and recovery is possible. So it instills hope in people too. So youth and young adults, staff members, family members that have children with mental health conditions, it is a great presentation to instill hope about recovery and how treatment can work as well. So that's one big thing about our program, and I just wanted to make sure that got out there too.
Thank you so much. We have a question that just popped up. I realize I'm not even on the screen. Nope, now we're both on the screen. Now nobody got to click all the buttons. One of the questions that just came up, again, thank you so much, is do you present just for the kids or will you present for staff as well? I'm assuming this person is talking about like in a school or a college.
Yes, so anyone and everyone. So a lot of staff personnel, any staff that works with the youth population or any students. So if you're a teacher, if you're a pediatrician, if you're a doctor that sees youth aged kids. So really anyone and everyone that is involved in the youth population in some way, this presentation can and will be beneficial for, and we can give to.
Thank you so much. It's important to point out that while it is important for kids, it's also important for teachers and staff. And I know a lot of times in our haste to get the word out there to young adults, we're missing, of course, middle-aged people. And mental health is legitimately for everybody. So and please, if I overstep, you're in charge, Rachel. I'm just the host. But there's really nobody that this presentation is not for, correct? If you're sitting there wondering, well, I wonder if this presentation is for fill in the blank, the answer is yes. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I would say mostly this presentation, we want to give it to people that it's targeted around the youth population. So anyone that is, that works with the youth population or is a caregiver of someone in the youth population, that is who this presentation is targeted for. However, we can do this presentation and will do it for anyone and everyone. So even if you're you're a family member of someone that is a young adult, or you're a friend of someone that has a mental health condition, we can share this program with you and your friends and your group, and yeah, anyone. I would also encourage anyone that is curious about having presentations or joining any classes that NAMI offers about mental health to go on our website and check out some of the other things we offer too.
Wonderful. Rachel, thank you so much. And this will probably serve as our last question. But the specific question is, can you tell us more about the young adult presenter? Thank you.
Yes, I can definitely do that. So I think, and comment back if this is wrong, but I think maybe you're asking what the requirements are to be a young adult presenter. So if that's the case, the requirements are ages 18 to 35, and you must have lived with your own mental health condition and be in recovery and be able to talk positively about your journey through mental health struggles.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, Rachel. So the first thing I want to do is I want to pop up Rachel one more time. If you have any questions whatsoever, literally any question about the Ending the Silence program or really any NAMI program, Rachel will get you to the right place. She absolutely promises. Hit her up at rwilson@namitn.org. And of course, if you have, I see now I can't find it. If you have, if you want additional information about Ending the Silence, but for some reason don't want to talk to Rachel, you can learn a lot by going to www.namitn.org/ending-the-silence. You can learn a lot there. You can really learn a lot about NAMI Tennessee in general at namitn.org. And of course, longtime watchers of the show know exactly what I'm going to say. Sign up for the email list. It's where you find out about cool stuff like, for example, this Facebook Live, but also about presentations, about calls for volunteers, about the NAMI Walk, about all the stuff that Rachel is doing, and of course about all of the stuff that NAMI Tennessee is doing. And they do lots. So it is a really cool email. It comes out once a week, and you go to namitn.org. Please, please, please sign up. Rachel, I like to give the guests the last word. Do you have anything that you want to say before we hop on out of here?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. Thank you so much, Gabe, for hosting me. And I appreciate all the banter we've had going back and forth and relatable things such as fleeting thoughts. And yeah, I appreciate you as a host and everything you do for us.
Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate everything that you do as well. You are absolutely correct. The best way that we can move forward is to end the silence. I think that when we don't talk about things, we form our own opinions. Those are often wrong. If we could just talk it out, work it out, and learn more, it would be a lot less scary. A lot more people would get help. And that, of course, is NAMI Tennessee's goal. And it's good for people like Gabe and Rachel. We can talk openly about it. And frankly, that alone is worth the price of admission. But we can also get therapy and help and the things that we need so that we can move forward in the best way possible. So, Rachel, thank you for doing your part to end the silence.
Thank you, Gabe. I very much appreciate it. I will keep moving forward doing my part with Ending the Silence as long as I can get some people volunteering to be a presenter and have some people interested in scheduling some presentations with me.
Remember, if you want to do that, hit up Rachel at rwilson@namitn.org. We will see everybody next Monday. Wave goodbye, Rachel.
Bye.